Hello, Palmist Ankur once again. On 14th of March, around 4 days back, I posted predictions on my website, palmistankur.com, regarding Saudi Arabia. Today is 18th of March. Let's revisit those predictions which I had posted on my website, especially in the light of the killing of Ali Larijani, the security chief of Iran, and a seasoned politician, someone who was very much key to the current Iranian regime. I have posted even in the last year, and again I reiterated in a tweet in January, that the much of the Middle East will be at war very soon. At that time, people probably many people would did not believe me, and many probably would even have laughed. Probably they don't do so anymore. I'd said that late February or early March will bring the death of the Ayatollah in Iran and the supreme ruler of Iran, and also strikes in Iran, the attempts of regime change. This is what has happened, and then I had said that this would lead to eventually a wider Middle East war. And this is I have posted the predictions now for the spring 2026 and spring and summer 2026 in some cases for different countries. I have continued to say this, that the war would continue widening, and especially UAE and Saudi Arabia. I have been warning again about them since the past year, that their future looks bleak. They may not exist as states anymore after the next few years. Saudi Arabia may lose control of Mecca, the holy city of Mecca, by which I mean not just the province of Mecca, and they both of them are very much likely to be engaged at war. Now, I have said this in the past when I made the video on the UAE, predictions regarding UAE. I said at that time also a few days back that there is likely UAE is likely to be at war, engaged directly, actively in war during the spring summer 2026 season. Spring starts on 20th of March, 2 days later, and probably now that after a Reuters leak and some of the calls made by the UAE president, probably the likelihood that UAE will be at war is now more distinct for many others as well, which I had already said. So I reiterate that I see both of these countries at war actively. They will be in the war, and of course they will be on the side of US and Israel, if one speaks of sides. So it's going to be, of course, a grim scenario for Iran. But as I have said, if you look at my Iran predictions for spring and summer, that Iran will also score some major uh, victories. I mean, of course, it's going to suffer a lot of destruction, some more assassinations, and all that. But it's going to score some big points as well during the rest of this year, both in spring as well as in summer, and then continue, and then later on as well in autumn. So it's down, but it's not down and out. Iran will survive as well. It will not finish as a state. I don't foresee that. Uh, Israel also will survive, but UAE and Saudi Arabia. These are modern states that did not exist earlier, and probably they will not exist after a few years. Uh, if I were to remove my astrologer's hat and simply wear as my commonsensical hat, my hat of simply an analyst, then the Arab Gulf countries are making a very big mistake right now by continuing to rely on the US. That's the mistake they're making. They are still even the US in the past few days has proven to be quite ineffective in protecting them. They are still relying on the US that it can continue to protect them. US may, of course, yeah, continue to protect them from a lot of missiles, drones, and may pound the Iranian land continuously, may kill many more leaders, probably may even instigate, which I doubt, very much doubt, but may even instigate a revolution in Iran, but which I doubt and which is not anyway my prediction as well. But even if one were to imagine that, then what? You are not going to kill all the Iranians. Iranians are a proud people. And Iran is going to be there, your neighbor always. I mean, the relations between the Persians and Arabs have always been complicated, and Persians have always looked down upon the Arabs. But after the advent of the petrol economy, of course, it's the Arab states which have become very rich. Iran was not allowed to become rich because of the sanctions and everything. Uh, uh, so. So there is of course also the Sunni Shia divide as well. So there are several layers, but these several layers have been kept quiet over the course of modern history in the past few decades. No active enmity has spilled out. Strong hostility has spilled out onto the streets and into the skies. But of course, it's Trump's mistake who started this war, which has enabled all this to spill out now. But the Gulf countries at this time should have rethought uh, their stance of hosting US military bases. That is what they should have done, and that is what they still have the chance to do, given that they should recalibrate their strategy. They are always going to have Iran as their neighbor. Do you want to live with a thorny, prickly neighbor who does not like you and who has a lot of geographical advantages, for example, which you don't have? And just because you are going to rely on some fickle mighty power, fickle great power, a great power which has proven itself to be very fickle, to have not kept its word many a times, and which is located very, very far away, and which probably is in decline, as everyone can see. So anyway, that's the conundrum, of course, which the Gulf countries face, the Arab Gulf countries, and they probably, history will prove me right. They are taking the wrong decision right now, and the upshot of that decision would be that the U.S. The UAE and Saudi Arabia may not even exist as states anymore after a few years, and the Sauds may lose control of Mecca. Which and if they lose control of Mecca, of course, the whole legitimacy is lost. Anyway, so I just gave you some context of what is happening and what I foresee to be the case broadly, but I can go to a couple of prediction points which I have written down in my Saudi Arabia predictions for the spring and summer period, which is basically 20th of March to 23rd of September 2026. So as I have said, the country, which means Saudi Arabia, is highly likely to be at war in this period. And war or warlike conditions are highly likely to persist in the area for several years. And I mentioned the word area here because the state may or may not exist anymore after a few years, but the war or warlike conditions may continue to exist in this area, whatever state it is, whichever it belongs to, for several years in this area now. And eventually the current state of Saudi Arabia is highly likely to not survive and or may not control Mecca anymore. In time to come, the country's leadership will review some of its decisions. Late 2026 and early 2027 itself may bring existential crisis to the country. So for Saudi Arabia, some of the bigger troubles may not even be very, very far away. And coming back to the spring summer period for Saudi Arabia, late March to late September, so strong number of human casualties is likely in this period, but that may not necessarily be because of the war. I don't know for what reason. I know some of the very likely reasons. One of them is of course attacks, but there are other reasons. I can mention them. So strong number of human casualties is likely caused by attacks on the country or major ground activity By when I say ground activity, it of course usually means earthquakes, landslides, such things, but it also means buildings falling down, fall of structures and buildings and bridges, such things. And that fall does not need to be caused by earthquake. That fall can also be caused by a bombing. All this is ground activity for me. For me, there is no demarcation between so-called natural and man-made activities. There is nothing man-made. Man is a part of nature. Everything is natural. The bombing which one country does to onto another country is also natural for me. So all this is ground activity, the collapse of buildings, mine accidents, earthquakes, all this. So basically what I am saying is strong number of human casualties is likely, and the most likely reason is these either the attacks or this ground activity, which is building collapse or earthquakes or things like that, or a mining accident, or some weather catastrophe. And around mid-September 2026 may especially be a difficult time for the country. I have already mentioned late 2026 and early 2027. So basically, after mid-September 2026 onwards is a more difficult time which starts for Saudi Arabia. Uh, Another key prediction for Saudi Arabia. So, in the foreign relations field, the country, that is Saudi Arabia, may make an alliance with another country or countries, or further solidify or reinforce an existing one. So, given the context of the war and given the statements coming from, this was published on 14th of March before all the Larijani killing and the Reuters leak and everything happened. Today is 18th of March. So, probably one can assume the solidification may be with some of the other Gulf countries plus with the US. One could assume. But anyway, my prediction was this. So this is what the foreign, I have not named the country. So in the foreign relations field, the country may make an alliance with another country or countries, or further solidify and reinforce an existing one. It could also be Pakistan, with which Saudi Arabia has a defense pact. And I have published my Pakistan predictions as well, which you can go and see. And it does not seem to be a great time for Pakistan as well. But in Pakistan's case, of course, is a lot of terrorism and in the country, and a lot of sabotage and a lot of conspiracy, a lot of plots against the country. It's military conflict is also likely for Pakistan, but whether it is with India or whether it is towards its to its west, one has to see. It of course is continuing anyway in a war with Afghanistan, so that was already going on, and I think that will continue to go on, because I do see Balochistan, Afghanistan area, the Kandahar Quetta area, as extremely continuing to be very volatile. But anyway, when I have distracted myself from Saudi Arabia into Pakistan, let's go back to Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia, yeah, and so I continue with Saudi Arabia. So troubles with a nearby or neighboring country affect the country's standing in the international community. So let's see what happens. And another one or two core predictions for Saudi Arabia for the spring summer period: high amount of covert movement of the country's armed forces. The armed forces would suffer significantly from espionage, secret enemies, and disinformation, but they themselves do several covert activities and practice deceptive tactics towards the enemy. And this is something which I have said earlier also in my long-term predictions page, but I am putting it I have posted it here again, and of course it is also there on long-term predictions page, that from late April 2026 onwards, Saudi Arabia is entering a phase lasting several years in which its armed forces are active, and its facilities in the sea, which is of course its ships, but also its oil rigs, all the for example, so its facilities in the sea are in danger and receive setbacks or attacks from time to time. Late June, early July 2026 period may especially bring strong attacks or violent incidents. And as I had said a year ago, yeah, I repeated it here again, that this area, regardless of whether how long it is Saudi Arabia and how long it's some succeeding state, that this area has now entered a more than a decade-long period of radical changes in the resources available to it and in its finances. So when I say resources, of course, the finances, but it's also, for example, the oil, that is also a resource. Anything which you mine, yeah, that is also a resource. Yeah. So all these are resources, and so I see a radical change in those resources or their availability during the next decade and more. Yeah, and you can of course see some more predictions, weather and some other predictions as well. Yeah, on my website pamistanko.com for Saudi Arabia. These predictions mainly were for uh, 21st 20th of March to 21st or 23rd of September period. But of course I mentioned also some specific months for some kind of events, and I also mentioned some of the longer term predictions for the country. To go back to the context which we were talking about, so I foresee now, as 20th of March starts in a couple of days and the spring starts, and with this all these spring predictions, you can say, get activated, to so to speak. And I have seen a wider war in the Middle East in the spring, so I think that will soon start. UAE, Saudi Arabia probably will officially, actively join the war, and so so expect a widening and a bigger war. Soon, a US some Marines soldiers are also coming over to Iran, so all that is going to happen. You can have a look at my monthly overview posts. March post I have put on 15th of February. I had posted what all can happen on which dates of March in the world, and all that is really actually happening exactly what I had said on 15th of February. So all that is happening soon. In a few days I will also put April 2026 post. And remember my prediction about April: it's a horrific month. Horrible month. April 2026 is, it's likely to be a horrible month. There is going to be at least one or two big earthquakes in the world in that time. But I mean horrible for whom? For the whole world in general. Of course, that is, different incidents will take place in different places in the world. That is what I mean, the whole world, not every single place in the world. So strong earthquakes very likely, maybe a mega quake also is possible in April. But more importantly, why I call April is horrible, it's first of all a very accident prone month, especially the second half of April and early May. You can say 15th of April to around 7th of May. That's a horrible period. Very accident prone. I foresee a major Boeing accident in that period. And especially in April, 15th to 30th of April for the Boeing accident. And April is also going to sharply increase the conflicts in the world. There are going to be strong conflicts, even South Asia, even India and Pakistan. Pakistan is already in military conflict with Afghanistan. Already war is going on. But even India could enter or receive some kind of a military setback or conflict. And several regions of the world will enter into conflicts, or if they're already in conflict, the things will flare up. East Asia, for example, though I think China will make a move on Taiwan probably in May, not in April. But anyway, so things will flare up everywhere. April is going to be a horrible month, both accident prone, violent and violence prone. There could also be a strong earthquake. So it's a month to watch out for. March is already bad, April is worse, and early May is also quite bad. And then from July onwards, from this July 2026 to July 2027, is a year of strong conflicts, strong wars and conflicts. So we are in it for a long time. Uh, Keep your sanity, stay safe. Don't keep your mind about you, keep your wits about you. Don't be fooled by any propagandas. Think everything based on actions of people, not based on words. People can say very beautiful words, but actually, but don't judge them based on words. Judge them on their actions. So rather, don't judge people, but just judge their actions, and based on that, decide about anything. Stay safe, keep your assets safe at this time. uh, and you can go to my website palmistanko.com for any country predictions. If you want predictions for 10-day 12-day period about where incidents, accidents, such things can happen, then you go to the other website astroweatherwatch.substack.com. If you want to just read some of my thoughts about some of the political context and such things, then you go to my blog, which is parmistankur.substack.com, and so on. Bye bye.